Shanna can tell you how stupid it is. She's been in twice before and not once she was there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Are you talking Christmas carol?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way. That's why I don't talk casting.
Yeah. Oh, there's
Yeah. Oh, wait.
There's Jude.
All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism or to our congregation, we want to get to know you and share a part of your journey. If this place is already your spiritual home, welcome back. We need one another, and it is good to be together again. We are so excited to be together in person again after almost 2 years of gathering only online during the coronavirus pandemic. Nevertheless, through the gifts of technology, we continue to celebrate community and connections with each other online also, as we lean into the values of justice, compassion, and reason. Together, we learn the love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service this morning. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love.
Arise, O souls, all arise.
Good morning. I'm Don Dickey, a member of this church, and it's my privilege to welcome you here on this absolutely gorgeous Sunday morning. And at this time, we also want to welcome those who are joining us online. Thank you for coming. And we also welcome our guests and visitors. And thank you for sharing this time together with us. And my fellow congregants, those who are visiting will be wearing stick-on name tags. Following the service, take advantage of the chance to find them, introduce yourselves, and take advantage of what might be the beginning of a warm and long-lasting friendship. Now, next week, we have a triple header for you. First of all, our new contract minister, Erin Hawley, will be here. We will have a chance to meet her. And by all accounts, she's a delightful human being. If she's not, we're in trouble, but okay. Now, also, if you read your weekly reader, the Flicker, which I always want to call a Fickle, it told you we were canceling police. And as you're scratching your head and reading on, you'll find we are canceling policy. What a difference a vowel makes. The board has canceled the mask mandate, so beginning next week, you'll be able to be in large groups, and the decision to wear a mask will be your own. So you can meet the new minister, and you and she will know what each other looks like. Thirdly, the Coming of Age youth will be holding a Sunday Plus lunch to help raise money for their Coming of Age trip to Boston. And they're calling it Walkin' Tacos. So there'll also be beer and sangria available for a donation. There will be games out on the patio, so you can come and you can have familiarity with the new minister, food and fun, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And keep in mind, this support of our youth is elementary, my dear Watson. That wasn't a very big hit, was it? Okay, today we welcome to the pulpit Reverend Dr. Peter A. Luckey. In 2019, Reverend Luckey completed a 24-year tenure as the lead pastor of the Plymouth Church, United Church of Christ in Lawrence, Kansas. During that tenure, Plymouth became known as a congregation that took stands for social justice. In 2004, the church declared itself an open and affirming congregation. In 2014, the church celebrated one of the first legal same-gender weddings in Kansas. Currently, Reverend Luckey divides his time between life coaching, writing, preaching, and spending time with his family. Today, our service, titled Be the Light You Seek, is an introspective examination of the possibilities and challenges of believing in and living out the light inside each of us and encouraging others to do the same. Welcome, Reverend Luckey.
It is so good to be here, friends. My name is Peter Luckey. Thank you, Don, for introducing me. And I just want to just say how glad I am to be here, to be with Reverend Kendall Gibbons and to share here this morning. Reverend Jill Jarvis, who's the one, she takes perhaps responsibility for bringing me here. Jill and I worked together very closely in Lawrence over many years on issues of social justice, and Jill Jarvis, one of my favorite people. She is truly a bright light. And so I am just honored and delighted to be here and be among you. We're going to be talking about the light today. But I want to begin by saying a welcome, and the welcome that we give in the United Church of Christ, which we're cousins, basically, we're sisters, brothers in faith, is that wherever you are, no matter who you are or where you are or what's going on in your life, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. So friends, welcome. It is great to be together in worship this morning here at All Souls Unitarian Universalist Congregation Church. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rose, and I light this chalice for the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all.
Please rise as you are able and join in singing and signing This Little Light of Mine. Following the song, please remain standing for the affirmation of our covenant.
Good morning. Since it's been a little while, Anthony's asked me to review some of the major signs for this song. So we're not going to do all the signs, just the big ones. For this little light, we're going to sign candle. We're going to sign shine 3 different ways. One-handed, two-handed, and then like this. When we do the verse, everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine, we sing it 3 times, and we're going to go around the world 3 different ways. The first way is we're going to walk it. The second way is we're going to drive it or bike it. And the third way is we're going to fly it. When we sing the verse, building up our world, we're actually going to sign connecting us all together in the world. It's 2 signs. Those are the major signs. The little ones will just follow along.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine,
Please remain standing and join me in the affirmation of our covenant. Goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated.
Communities of progressive faith have always had a distinctive approach to the process of religious education for our children. From the Persian poet Khalil Gibran to the 18th century Unitarian sage William Ellery Channing, to the 20th century student of children's intellectual and moral development, Reverend Sophia Faz, here are some of their classic sayings about the process of religious education. Some beliefs are like walled gardens that encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding our days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing everyone with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, helpless in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward energy of life. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And the prophet said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. Though they come through you, but they come not from you, and though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. And you may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for life goes not backwards nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth." The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own. Not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own. Not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of truth. Not to form an outward conformity, but to touch inward springs. Not to bind them by ineradicable prejudices to our particular sect or peculiar notions, but to prepare them for impartial and conscientious judging of whatever subjects may be offered to their decision. Not to burden the memory with recitations, but to quicken and strengthen the power of thought. Not to impose religion upon them in the form of arbitrary rules, but to awaken the conscience, the moral discernment. In a word, the great end is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish its spiritual life. This morning is the day that we formally acknowledge the growth of our children as they progress from one class in our program to another class. And Melanie Yackel, our Director of Religious Education, is going to tell us more about that in a moment, and we'll see a few of the children, the ones who are here today, to receive their balloons and their new class assignments. We also would like today to appreciate those who have agreed to invest their time and energy in working with our young people to help them in this process of awakening and cherishing the spiritual life and cultivating their moral discernment. All those teachers, thank you very much.
Good morning. So as Kendall said, today is very special for religious education. It's the day we invite all of our kids to move into their new spaces and start their new curriculums for the next school year. At this time, I'd like to invite all of our teachers that are here today to come up and join me on stage or right in front of the stage. And we will begin the process of inviting our children. First, I would like to see the kids that are in preschool, kindergarten, and first grade. If that's you, I want you to come right up here with the blue balloons is Carissa, and right next to her is Susan. And they are your teachers today, and they will be your teachers quite often throughout the year. And we have a special blue balloon for you because your door color downstairs is painted blue, the trim around your door. So parents, if your child is receiving a blue balloon, that is where you will pick them up today. All right, the next classroom is for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Do we have any kiddos here today that are in those grades? We do. Excellent. Holding the red balloons is Bernie and his wife Rebecca, and they are teachers in this grade level. You're welcome. You're welcome to come right back over here if you want. And we usually have a few more with us today, but I think we all got tired at trivia night last night. And let's see, the next age group will be our coming of age group, which is 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. So if you are in those grades, please come up and see Cynthia with the orange balloons. Cynthia and Joe are going to be our coming of age teachers for this year. So they have a huge task ahead of them, getting to know these kiddos. Cool. And then our last two grades are 11th grade and 12th grade. So if you are a junior or senior in high school, come on up and grab a purple balloon. Jason is here today next to Bob. They are teaching in the high school class along with Dan and Tracy, who I think are here, but I don't see them. And so like I said, with the preschoolers, first graders, their door color matches their balloons today. So if you need to find them later, that's where they will be downstairs. And I hope all of you will come visit us at some point down there. And that is, we are good. Yeah.
Go now in peace, may love guide all your ways. Beauty be the blessing of your nights and days. Truth on your lips and kindness in your deeds. Faith to follow where the human spirit leads.
Hello, my name is Bernie Brennan. I'm a member here of All Souls. And today the offering is going to be for religious education for the music program. Now, the religious education program has been a big benefit in mine and my children's lives since we've started coming to All Souls. Our children have been able to participate in several programs, Secret Friends, the used to be summer camps, now summer soirees, the mentor program, being able to write their credos, their trips to Boston, as well as being able to learn more about other religions, cultures, and social justice through their programs. In addition, I've really enjoyed working in the program. Probably about 2 months after we started coming here, we were asked to start teaching down there. And it's just been such a wonderful joy working with the children here at All Souls. If any of you are interested, I definitely recommend reaching out and talking to Melanie. Now, the thing is, all of these things do take money. They do cost for supplies and different things. And between the music program and the religious education program, we've been asked to raise $20,000 this year. And so part of that is going to come through this offering. And the offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you. You can please join me in the dedication of our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change towards a just and compassionate society.
From Matthew 5, verses 14 through 16. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine.
Austrian psychiatrist Viktor Frankel wrote his book, The Man's Search for Meaning, and it was first entitled, A Psychiatrist Learns and Goes into the Concentration Camps. Another time, we were at work in a trench. The dawn was gray around us. Gray was the sky above, gray the snow in the pale light of dawn, gray the rags in which my fellow prisoners were clad, and gray their faces. I was once again conversing silently with my wife, or I was struggling to find the reason for my sufferings, my slow dying. In a last violent protest, the hopelessness of imminent death, I sensed my spirit piercing through the enveloping gloom. It transcended that hopeless, meaningless world. And from somewhere, I heard a victorious yes in answer to my question of the existence of an ultimate purpose. At that moment, a light was lit in a distant farmhouse, in the midst of the miserable gray of a dawning morning in Bavaria. And the light shineth in the darkness.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace grace this time with harmony. Thy word of hope and shine light of love, and in combat of find tranquility. Birds fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view. Help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the midst of eternity. Light shining, illuminate our inward view. Help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become for symphony.
Thank you. Thank you. What a gift. What a blessing. Friends, it is great to be here. Some words that have been helpful to me from Thich Nhat Hanh when I'm in my own moment of darkness, and I like to begin, is to just to take a moment and just to breathe, and breathe in deeply and then breathe out deeply. And perhaps as you breathe in, as you inhale, think the word peace. And as you exhale, think the word gratitude. So peace, inhale, exhale, gratitude. Let's just take a moment to breathe. Amen. Make of yourself a light, is what the Buddha said before he died. You are here to be light, is what Jesus of Nazareth said from a mountaintop. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, is what we all said and we sang a few moments ago. This morning, I invite you into a conversation about light. You, my friends, here at All Souls are light together. And what is that light? But it's peace and love and justice and kindness and compassion and truth and honesty and decency and tranquility and gentleness and strength. That's the light. So I invite you into a conversation about light and a couple of questions that we might ponder together this morning. Conversation, so to speak. But what is that light? And where do I see it? And how do I feel it? And how do I let it shine? What's your strategy for keeping your light shining in your life? And friends, not just this morning, on a beautiful, gorgeous fall morning, all of us together here in this place at All Souls in Kansas City, but how do you keep your light shining in the middle of the night? When you wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. in the morning and the dawn is still dark, and you feel the cold, clammy hand of despair lying on your heart. How then do you keep your light burning? How do you keep it shining bright? That's the question. The great Indian poet Tagore once said, "Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings while the dawn is still dark." But faith is not easy. It's not always easy to have that kind of faith in the middle of the night when the dawn is still dark, to know and trust that you can sing that the light is coming, is here. It doesn't come easily because the darkness can feel so powerful and so permanent. Oh, yes, Sunday morning when we're singing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine," it just feels like light is no problem, that everything is sure and certain. But it's in those moments in the middle of the night in the darkness when we stare up at the ceiling that we wonder, when everything feels treacherous and tentative, can I let my light shine? Is the light going to shine again? Perhaps when we have been pushed into the darkness by circumstances in our lives, if you've ever been in that shadowed place, it could be tragedy or misfortune or bad luck. It could be the loss that many of us have endured in this pandemic these last couple of years of every kind, disappointments and setback and illness and the fate of the earth and what we have done to it. And the incomprehensible cruelty of war, thinking of Ukraine this morning, and of the disregard for the sanctity of life and every form of greed and dishonesty and the sheer bile of hatred and the closing of our eyes and our minds to the humanity of each other that we have seen here in our own country, the reality that evil exists. Yes, my friends, we have known what it's like to be in the shadows. And if you've ever been in a dark place, you know that the last thing you want to hear from somebody is saying to you, "Just cheer up, will you? Just lighten up, okay?" As if just being prompted from somebody else is going to help us see the light. So I ask you, what is it that strengthens you in your faith to see the light? What is it that gives you courage to let your light shine? For me, it's been the witness of people, the stories they have told, who have been in that dark, dark place, and yet even there the light came to them, the light shone, and they saw it and they felt it. And it wasn't so much that those people willed that light into existence through grit and determination, The truth is that many of them were at the end of their ropes when it came to them, from beyond them or within inside of them. It was a connection, a relationship that they felt. Was it God? Was it Buddha? Was it the Great Spirit? You can call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a relationship to something beyond the self. And it felt to them, because they were at the end of their ropes, that it was a saving light, that it rescued them. Have you ever been rescued by the light? So here's the story that was just read, this story, a true story from Viktor Frankel, the psychiatrist who lived through that experience almost close to his own death in a concentration camp under the Nazis, a time of terrible anti-Semitism. And he observed in the camp that how some people survived and some people didn't. And what he discovered was the people that survived were the people that had a sense of meaning and purpose in their lives. But for Viktor Frankel, it wasn't just about other people, but it was also about his own journey in that concentration camp, when he himself was struggling with a sense and a question about, what is my purpose and why am I here? Close to dying as he was. And so he wrote those words that we just heard. The dawn was gray around us, gray was the sky above, gray the snow and the pale light of dawn, gray the rags in which my fellow prisoners were clad, and gray their faces. I was again conversing silently with my wife, or I was struggling to find the reason for my sufferings, my slow dying. As a man at the end of his rope. And yet it was in that very moment of his darkness, when he, in his own words, writes, he felt his spirit piercing through the enveloping gloom. He writes, I felt it transcend that hopeless, meaningless world, and from somewhere I heard a victorious yes in my answer to the question of an ultimate purpose. And can you believe it? In that very moment that he heard that yes inside the depths of himself, that very moment he looked up and he saw there lit in a distant farmhouse a light which stood as if painted on the horizon. Do we have faith that the light shines in the darkness, as Scripture tells us, and the darkness has not overcome it? Do we have faith to believe that that's true? Can we trust it? Trust that it's true? The truth is, there are times in our lives when we doubt it, and we say, show me. I'm from Missouri. It's not easy, is it, to talk about this faith if we've been in that very dark place, that the light shines in the darkness and the darkness has not overcome it. It's not easy to talk about this faith, because we realize that it's beyond our will and determination. It's not just by smarts alone or our brains that's going to get us to that place. In fact, quite the opposite. It may be that we are completely broken and undone and at the end of our ropes when we are most radically vulnerable. And strangely enough, that may be the moment when we discover the light that shines, discover that inner yes. At the risk of some vulnerability of myself this morning, I want to share with you a story that's very personal for me about a time in my life when I was in a dark place and I felt and experienced that light that shined. It was many years ago. I was a young man. I was 22 years old. I was a senior at college, and of all times, it happened on Christmas Day of 1974. That's when our family, my mom and my dad and my two younger brothers and I, were gathered around the Christmas table eating coffee cake. My dad was dying. He had been afflicted with a terminal illness, an inoperable brain disease called Creutzfeldt-Jakob. It was ravaging his body. He was losing his eyesight. His muscular coordination was gone. His emotions were completely out of whack, and there was no hope at all that he would ever recover from this disease. And I was a young man at the time. I remember we were there at the Christmas table, and we were laughing and joking, pretending as if dying happens only in other families, not in ours. But then my dad, on that Christmas day, he pushed the elephant right in the middle of the room. And he said, "Look," with his voice raising, "I have to go back to the hospital tomorrow. I may never get out again." And then with steel in his voice, and I'll never forget it, he said, "Leave the guns in the house where I can get them." I remember feeling frozen in fear. When I think back now, I wonder, how can I blame my dad? If I were in his shoes, would have I wanted the same? To know that your body was falling apart and there was no hope for any recovery, why not take matters into my own hands? And that was a really dark day, and I wondered what light would ever shine again in my dad's life or in my own life, for that matter. And if it's true what Tagore says, if faith is a bird that sings when the dawn is still dark, I wondered if there was a song in him or in any of us, if we could ever be that bird singing in the dark. But I'll tell you, this is what actually happened. 1 week later, 1 week after that Christmas day, it was New Year's Day, and my dad did a 100-degree change in his attitude, and he made a decision. He completely changed his mind, and he decided that no matter what that illness did to him, no matter how awful his body would be, he would not take his own life. The guns remained untouched. He made peace with his illness. He made peace with his dying. And so my dad was a congregational minister. See, I didn't fall far from the tree. And so he wrote a letter to his congregation explaining to them about his situation and about he wanted to be honest with his congregation, just, a congregation like ours here. And he wrote these words, and he said, "After 48 hours of self-searching and study, it comes to me that ultimately and finally, the person of faith must view life as a gift from God, and every precious drop of life as not earned, but as grace, lovingly bestowed upon the individual by his or her Creator. And so I find the position of suicide untenable." It was, for my dad, a Viktor Frankel moment. It was a moment as if there was a light that turned on, as if in a distant farmhouse, but this light that turned on was in the depths of his own heart, and somewhere deep inside all of his pain, he heard deep inside of himself a victorious yes. He was no longer clutching his life, but he released it into his Creator, into their relationship to all that is. So here I am, my friends, telling you this story. It's almost 50 years since that happened. I remember it just like it was yesterday. My dad's willingness to surrender everything and know at the end of the day that there was that light. But I've been thinking about the fact that I'm still thinking about what happened to my dad and wondering about it for myself. And if the time comes for me, what would I do? How would I respond? Would I find the light when I'm in that moment of deepest darkness? I still don't know. But I can't help but feel, and maybe Dad knows this in some way, some mysterious way, I don't know. But he would be amazed, perhaps, that the story is still being told. Here I am sharing that story of so long ago, sharing the story of Viktor Frankel. And it tells me that the whole experience of seeing the light and searching for the light is connected to being the light ourselves for one another. Because surely it's true, my friends, as surely as my dad was a light for me and continues to be years after he's gone, you and I and all of us here are light for one another. And we have no idea, but I guarantee this, that we underestimate the power of the light that we are for each other, for our children, for our families, for the world, for the community, for this congregation. What are the unique gifts that you bring? What's the light that you carry into this world? We think of the luminaries, and we think of the Maya Angelos and Ruth Bader Ginsburgs and the Dr. Martin Luther Kings and the Desmond Tutus. Yes, those people known by history, but the luminaries that we are, that maybe are not known by history, and yet the light that we shine is so significant. And dare we underestimate that? And might I add that sometimes, even when we don't feel the light, we can let our light shine, and the feeling will come along with it. It's a fancy way of saying fake it till you make it. Friends, we here in this community at All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, we are the light for each other, and together we are much more light than we are apart. We are strengthening each other's wattage. It's a wonderful thing to feel this light and sing it into existence. Even when the voices of despair feel so strong and so real, those 3 a.m. voices, that cold, clammy ham of despair that lies in your heart in the middle of the night, even then we realize there is something that is even deeper, deeper still, that is even more real than that clammy hand. And that what is more real is the light. The light, being in relationship to all that is. Never underestimate the power of the light that you are, my friends. This light. Can you feel it? This moment, right here and right now. Can't you feel a brand new day? Amen.
Everybody look around, 'cause there's a reason to rejoice, you see.
Everybody come out, and let's commence to singing joyfully.
Everybody look up and feel the hope that we've been waiting on.
Everybody be glad, because the silent fear and dread is gone.
Freedom, you see, has got a heart singing so joyfully.
Just look about,
You owe it to yourself to check it out.
Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day?
Everybody be glad,
because the sun is shining just for us.
Everybody wake up,
Wake up!
into the morning, into happiness. Hello world, it's like a different way of living now. Thank you world, we always knew that we'd be free somehow.
In harmony, we'll show the world that we've got liberty. It's such a change for us to live so independently.
Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand
It's a brand new day. Can you feel it? Yeah. Can you feel it? It's a brand new day. Can you feel it? Yeah. Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day?
Amen. One more time. Woo. Can you feel a brand new day? My friends, go forward from this place, go out into this world that so desperately needs our light, this world that needs to hear and believe the good news, the light that is peace and kindness and justice and decency and honesty and gentleness and tranquility, the world that needs it so. Friends, go forward from this place and never give up the faith that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Amen.